What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. This is Matt with Richardson Performance. It's good to have you guys back. It is late on a Thursday night here on the RPT podcast. We got a topic we're going to dive in on. We're going to keep it short and sweet, as always, off the cuff. I don't got the time to edit this stuff. I'm going to spit it right at you guys raw. And I hope that you can find some value in today's topic. I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger 10 years ago. And I definitely think that 10 years ago, if I would have known this, I could have been receptive to it, and it would have helped me immensely at a crucial stage growing up in my adolescent years. And I think that now, for adults, as I continue and we all continue to evolve, grow, prosper, and succeed, I think that this can offer you immense value as well, because what others think is absolutely important, but how we go about thinking about that and our perspective is equally important to make that something productive and not negative that hinders us and keeps us complacent. So without further ado, this is something that I put up on my Instagram. I let you guys vote on a topic, and this was a close second, and it is how to deal with what other people think. So there's two ways we can look at. I want to offer you guys a different paradigm for caring or dealing with what other people think of you. So number one is that we can care what other people think, or we can consider what other people think. Caring is emotionally based, and considering is logically based. Now, it's very important that because it'd be easy for me to say, who cares what other people think? Everyone cares what other people think. You do. In some way or some form, you care. And you should. There's value in what other people think. And I'm going to explain that. Now, your haters can be your biggest helpers and healers. And I wish I would have known that a long time ago, because they're going to offer you a reflection. You can look at yourself, what you're projecting out onto the world. Now, if you are caring what they think, you're very emotional about that, and you're going to cling to your identity, you're going to cling to your ego that's probably a little bit weak and fragile, instead of logically looking at, what am I projecting out there, right? I can learn from that. Maybe people think of me a certain way, even if I'm not that way, because of these things I do. Maybe people think of me a certain way because I am that way. And I need to be self-reflective. I need to be introspective and look at that for what it is. Be conscious of it. Make the changes consciously every day in my life until I am not that person anymore and I better myself. That's what other people can offer you. Now, if I just say I don't care what they think, what I'm basically saying is everyone's wrong, and they're thinking that for a reason that's not my fault, and it's theirs. Which, there are times, absolutely, and this is where self-confidence comes in, and if you are being considerate and reflective and logical, that you can look at, why do other people think this of me, and is that true of my character? Or do they think this for these reasons, but the depth, they're kind of skipping a rock across the surface of the lake. They're never actually getting down to the depth of who I really am, right? Is that something I can change? Is it something I'm projecting that I can change? Or is it something that just kind of is what it is right now, and that I know that what they think of me, be it negative, is invalid? Okay? If you're logical about it and you're considerate, that's what you can find out. And that's why haters can be your biggest helpers and healers, because they can offer you reflection and a time to grow. If you're willing to not care emotionally, but consider logically. And considering logically requires you to kind of get out of your own body and head, no one, no place, no time, out of your identity a little bit, and just looking at it from a third perspective, right? If you're on a game show, what would you think of you, and why would these people think that of you? That's kind of how life is to some degree. That's why it's very important to look at this way and be considerate. This is something that has a lot to do, in my opinion, with EQ, which is your emotional quotient. So if you don't know, and I mean, I think there's way more than I know, but I definitely know these are two big ones, obviously IQ and EQ. EQ is a really big factor in your overall social intelligence. So when I was younger, I'm going to kind of talk application here. I absolutely projected things out to kind of front, I would say, on those teenage years where we're all honestly not near as confident or whole as we need to be, and for valid reason. It just kind of is life, right? But at the same time, I think if I would have heard these words, I mentally was absolutely mature enough, open-minded enough, and intelligent enough to have taken this in and to have begun this process much earlier, and it made my life a lot better. I think even knowing this at 23, 3 years ago, as my business was taking off, as life was getting, evolving at a crazy rate where you feel like you're just running downhill and things are snowballing, it would have been good to know this. When I was younger, like any of us, I honestly think that anyone else would have said I was probably one of the most confident people that they knew. And I think relatively speaking, compared to most people my age, I was. But the confidence that I needed to have to be able to live the life I wanted to live peacefully, and just overall the confidence that I think that every individual should have, I didn't have that developed yet. I absolutely held my head a certain way in pictures, smiled a certain way in pictures, talked a certain way, acted a certain way, dressed or wear my pants a certain way to front and kind of cover up and shield some inadequacies or lack of self-belief, confidence, or just missing pieces in my ego, if you will. And that being said, a lot of that was being based on emotion and caring what other people thought. And if I would have been considerate of what other people thought, I would have realized that those fronts that I was putting on, from simple lack of confidence, if I would have been more physically superior when I was younger, that would have helped. I wish I would have started earlier in high school. It made all the difference for me. I honestly think that strength training, I would almost say, had a bigger effect on me and my psyche than it honestly did physically in some senses. And it was great for me physically. It totally changed everything. But I think that the real effect was on this muscle, on my psyche. So that being said, having something so simple like that, right? We all have that. We all have something like that, or a few things. I'm sure there were others, but that's one, given my trade and my business and my craft, that I know, was on the forefront of my mind. I made a massive transformation when I was in high school. I started this a long time ago. That if I would have just had that simply and then inject some knowledge like this, or just a perspective shift, that my life would have absolutely been different on how I would have went about things from a young age. And I want that for my athletes and other kids at that age. I want that for a young adults that are striving and prospering, and I want that for older adults. I want that for everybody. I want that for everybody, and I hope these are words that people need to hear. So I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. I had some things that I projected out there from a very simple inadequacy in myself, that then I think people looked at. Some of my best friends' parents now, that didn't know, they did not know me, had not spoken a word to me. Oh yeah, that kid's a asshole, right? And they had no reason to think that. But at the same time, maybe they did. The things that I projected out there because of my inadequacies had people thinking I was a certain way, looking into the depth of my character. It absolutely was not true. I will say that I've stayed true to my character, and I've had very rock solid morals for the most part, and always meant well for others. I can confidently say that. But at the same time, I think that the impression that I gave off from a simple inadequacy of my own at a young age, as a young man, desiring to be more, and desiring to grow, and have more status, if you will, or just confidence, and again, just wholeness, peace within myself. I was not at peace with myself. Because of that, some of those little things that I did and projected out, I have people judging me a certain way. And I cared, right? I was emotional about that. And instead, if I would have considered why that was, and then looked at those little things that I was doing, as I'm able to now and was capable of then, I could have grown up a lot earlier, and I think I could have started living life on a more elevated frequency and path earlier. So it's important to look at that. And then if you are, there's certain times when people will think things of you, and most of the time you're going to be in your feelings, for lack of a better term. You're going to be in your feelings about it most of the time. But as you get used to this and you can self-assess and know that you are more considerate than you are caring, you're going to be able to look at and say, are what these people are projecting on me, are they trying to project the worst on me? And are these things invalid? Maybe it looks like this on the outside and I can't control that. It's something that's not within my control and it's invalid of my character or who I am. Again, it's still offering self-reflection, and other people can absolutely, or haters if you will, can be your biggest helpers and healers. That is how I go about looking at, that's my paradigm for looking at how other people think of you. And it's just important to be considerate and logical and make sure that you are very introspective on yourself. That'll help you grow. Instead of pointing the finger out, it'll point the finger within, where all change comes from. Thank you guys. We're going to wrap up right there. I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I hope that you found value in this segment today. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get this baby rolling right now. I appreciate you guys very much. And without further ado, it's time to go to bed. It's a long night. We've got a Good Friday coming up tomorrow as well. So we're going to be back on the grind tomorrow. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll drop some more videos this weekend. Matt with Richardson Performance. We're out.